Hello everybody and welcome to this month's edition of BluebeamMeUp. BluebeamMeUp is a series of webinars run by Briggs Tech and Bright Graphics, who are platinum partners for Bluebeam in the UK. Most people use Bluebeam Revu for building design drawings, and everybody's familiar with the specific tools that are present there. However, this month we're joined by Vince French from Vince Surveying, who will be looking at the land development side of the AEC industry and how you can use Bluebeam Revu in combination with Microsoft Excel to get accurate quantities. Vince is going to be showing his advanced workflows and some of the expert tips and tricks that he's built up over the years to get the best out of Bluebeam Revu for the civil site layout industry. At this moment, I'm going to hand over to Troy DeGroot, who will be joined, as I said, by Vince French.
Good afternoon, Bluebeamers. My name is Troy DeGroot with U Chapter 2, and I'm excited to partner with the team at Briggs Tech and Brighter Graphics to deliver world-class Bluebeam training and customization services, empowering you to get the most out of your Bluebeam investment. Wow, we've had some really great webinars over the last several months. How about those tips and tricks last month? I hope you all were able to apply those right away and make a difference in your everyday productivity. Those are always some of my favorite presentations. I guess the only way to follow up a webinar like that one is to continue showing some workflows, including more tips, and inviting someone who's doing brilliant things with the data he's collecting in Bluebeam markups. This month, I asked one of the active contributors of the free user groups at uchapter2.com to join us. Vince French will help me pack as much as possible into the next 35 to 40 minutes. I think you'll be impressed and take some notes from this one as well. So let's get started. Today I'm going to show you how to build a large plan like this one from several sheets and do a takeoff. So we're going to show you the different pieces to come out with this outcome. First off, I'm going to show you where we're starting from. And over here, you're going to see this drawing set has several different sheets to it, and they're all blow-ups of that overall plan we were just looking at. Here you can see the keynote or the index map of each sheet up here, and we can flip through those with greater detail than the overall plan. So where we want to head is, again, this combined sheet where I brought in each one of those individual pieces so that we're able to do takeoffs when measurements cross over different sheets. So the troubles that we have when they're individual sheets is that this silt fence that we're tracing along here goes from one sheet to the next, and we don't want to double up our quantities by crossing over that match line. So we're going to look at how to combine these sheets. And first off, we need to create a large blank sheet to paste these onto. So I'm going to go up to File, New PDF. It's going to open up this screen, and I'm just going to make this 100 by 100 just to make sure it's oversized. Portrait, landscape, doesn't matter. If you wanted to, you could come in here and select a grid pattern. I'm not going to do that. I want mine to be blank, and I'm going to say OK. And there's our blank sheet. So now the next step is to go back to our multiple sheet drawing, and we're going to go back to sheet 1 over here. Sorry, sheet 1. We're on the far left side, and I'm going to show you how to bring these into that larger sheet. So first off, we're going to go to our edit menu, go down to shortcut, and then we're going to pick and draw a shape around this plan. So I'm just going to pick, I'm going to cut over here somewhere and just get close to that match line. There's some overlap when we look at this from plan to plan, but we'll show that. If I hold my shift key, I can draw a straight line. And I'm just going to come over to here and double click to close that shape. That's going to flash blue and take a picture of that area, putting it on my clipboard. And then I'm going to go over to my new document, right click, and paste. And it's going to bring that in at the exact same scale I took it from. So you can see that there. Then we just go on to the next sheet, jump over here, again, go to our edit snapshot, draw a new window. Sometimes you'll notice it's snapping to that match line. Sometimes when I'm doing these snapshots, I like to turn off my snap to content so it doesn't snap to those grid lines. This one's pretty rectangular, so I'm just going to click and drag a rectangle, let go, it'll take a picture again, and then I'll show you how to really quickly paste this. Right click, paste, and then if we zoom in, we can start to look at the similarities in these drawings, and we can move this one manually to line up with the other one. And a lot of these contours and things on the document will help us get close to where those line up. And then I'm just going to let go, leave it there. And even though those overlap, that you can see that they are, you can see the continuation there. So if we do our silk fence again, we can draw a line all the way across these multiple sheets and get the total length of material. So a lot of times when I do these, as soon as I place them, I like to select them and go over to my properties and click on lock. This will lock those in on the placement of the sheet so I can't accidentally move them. So that's how we build those. I'm going to come back over to my combined sheet that I showed previously. Now that we're back on our combined sheet, I'm going to come down here and add this last piece in here. Go back to my multiple sheet document. Should be the last one. Go to edit, snapshot. Again, turn off my snaps. And I'm going to click and drag to grab that area. Actually, before that I do that, I want to add the scale to the image before I take that screenshot. So I'm going to come over to my edit, go down to PDF content and cut content. I'm going to grab this area here. It's going to cut it and put it on my clipboard. I'm just going to paste it here. I can flatten it. I just right clicked and flattened. And then I'm going to go do that snapshot again. So edit snapshot, click and drag my rectangle, make sure I get that scale in there. And then I'm going to jump back to my combined sheets, right click and paste. And then we'll get this last piece of the puzzle lined up as best we can. Sometimes I use the arrows on my keyboard to nudge them once I get them close. So there, I just gave it a nudge with my arrow, and you can see that lines up pretty good. Come and check up here. Looks pretty good up here as well. And now I've got all of those pieces of the puzzle put together. Now that we have the puzzle put together, there's a couple things that I want to show you. First off, I showed you how to lock those those different images that we pasted in. I showed you how to lock them. Sometimes before I do any markups, I'll actually flatten those. So now that I've got this last one in, I'm going to right click and flatten it. And when I flatten it, it's no longer an item in my markups list. So I like to kind of clear that out. If I look at this one again, in my markups list, you'll see that there's two snapshots. So just to keep a clean markups list, I like to flatten those. but I will lock them temporarily while I'm putting together the puzzle. Now that I have the puzzle put together, we'll look at a couple of settings here. If I zoom in on this area, you can see down here I have my line weights disabled. If I turn those on, you can see some of these lines get a lot thicker, making it more difficult to see certain things. So I like to disable my line weights. And another one is the dimmer. So this one here, if you're having trouble seeing your markups stick out from the rest of the PDF, you can click on this dimmer and it will dim the PDF. And this little pull down menu will allow you to select how far you want to dim. If I go 30%, now my markups really stick out, but I'm still able to see the PDF in the background. So with that in there, now I can look at the custom tools that I have built for this erosion control plan and go in and draw my silt fence, any rock dams, skimmers, all kinds of different tools that I've built over here for measuring those different materials. So let's look at the ECB matting, and I'll just trace over this area here. And this tool, there's matting that needs to go in here because this is a steeper slope to keep the ground from sliding. So I just click on the end of the contours here, maybe work my way around that curve. And I'll come over, let's say, to here and work my way. Sometimes I cut through those corners. And I'm going to come out to here, work my way out again, doing the best I can to cover this area. And double click when I'm done. And it covers that. Now I would come back, select this. In that curved area, I can right click, convert to arc, and it fills out that corner a little bit better. So I would clean up these here. And then another tool over on our measurement panel is the cutout. Right underneath our area measurement, I can do a polygon cutout. And that's what I'm going to use to cut out this middle section of my measurement here. So I'm just going to, again, trace through these corners. Double click when I'm done, and it cuts that out of the area measurement that I created for that matting. Again, I would come in here and right click, switch that to an arc, clean up those corners a little bit better. But now we have a measurement for the square footage of matting. And of course, we can apply a slope to that area as well. I put a 12-12 slope into that material because that's the slope of the land there with the contours. And then what we have over on the right side is our legend displaying all of the measurements of all the materials that I've taken off. And one thing that I skipped over here was once we pasted this in, we actually brought in this scale so we can calibrate from that. So if I hit my calibrate up here on my measurement panel, I can pick 2 points of a known dimension and use that bar scale that we brought in to set the scale of our new sheet. So this random distance on the piece of paper is going to equal 80 feet. I hit apply, and then all the measurements that we took are going to apply that new scale, and likewise our legend will update as well. So now that we have that data, there's a few different things that we can do with it. I'm going to go down to my markups list. You can see here I've got my different measurements. I've got all my tools properly named in the subject so I can see what's what, my total quantities for silt fence and so on. The legend is intended to be live, so if I do more markups, it will update right on the sheet. Otherwise, we can go into the summary here. and do a PDF summary. So depending on what your deliverable is to this customer for your bid, we can go through the columns, figure out which columns we want to turn on down here, sort and filter those, put the output. I like to append and hyperlink to the current PDF. That will attach our report to the drawing. And then I'm going to send it to my letterhead as well. And maybe I'll switch the thumbnail to be a medium size so it's not too big. I can save these configurations for the export, and I'm going to go and click OK. And it is going to start processing and going through and creating our report. This one might take a little bit of time, so because we have so many items in here. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this, and I'm going to show you one that I've already done that is complete. So here's a new one I've got open with the report that ran, and you can see that page 1 is our drawing, the overall scale with the legend and all of our markups, and then after that we've got individual pages with our markups. So it gives us a preview of each one of those markups and some data, whatever we want to include in those. So you can see where I've added all of these different markups. You can click on different pages. And what's nice about the PDF report, when I did that append, hyperlink and append, I'm able to click on this preview and it will jump me directly to where that markup is on my drawing. So nice deliverable there to be able to show our quantities and where they're located. Again, you've got a little preview of that area. You can click on it and it'll bring you to that spot in your drawing. One of the other options in here to create a summary is the CSV. So we can export this to an Excel document. And for that, I'm actually going to turn things over to Vince French, and he is going to show us, again, some of those brilliant things that he's doing with the data that he's collecting in Bluebeam in his markups list. We'll kick it over to you.
Good afternoon. Today I'm going to demonstrate one of the setups, workflows that I've created using Bluebeam Revu and Excel for measuring drainage on housing schemes. I was going to try and show you a couple of others, measuring external works, etc., but we're fairly limited on time, so I will just stick to drainage for the moment. Now, this is a site of 241 houses. It was originally on 6 or 7 drawings. So what I've done is created a master drawing, and I've used Snapshot to bring in the details from each drawing. And as you can see, there's one big layout. As you can see down in this corner down here, this would actually, 1 to 200, this is on a piece of paper 2.5 meters by 2.5 meters. Not very practical for printing out, but measuring drainage on one single layout is so much easier than measuring it on several different layouts, especially when you've got runs that might cross. I've had it where they've crossed 3 or 4 drawings when you've got one long run. So this certainly makes measuring a lot easier. So to start with, over this side, you'll see I've got a lot of custom tools for measuring adoptable foul drainage, adoptable storm, private foul, private storm. I've also got a little table set up here for manholes. Basically on this takeoff, we've only got, for all the plot manholes, we haven't got a manhole schedule, we've just got some cover and invert levels. So what I've done is I allocated these to groups by just bringing these markups across. So when I'm doing the depths for these manholes, I don't have to work it out each time. So I've put these on first, and then I've started marking up my drawings. So coming to the markups, I've just zoomed in there, so let's go back to here. This is my plot file, and what you will see is I've got custom tools for this, and if I jump over here, my custom tool, if I just mark that up, you'll see that I use a symbol at the end to represent the saw vent pipe, and it brings forward details. Well, the markup shows details like it's a UPVC pipe and it's as dug backfill. That's just to try and make it clearer for whoever else picks up this drawing. They can zoom in and out and they can see what's been allowed. So if I get rid of that, if I jump over to my markup, sorry, my actual tool, and then go to my properties panel, what you actually see on here, I've got some details pre-populated. So it starts at a saw vent pipe, it's 100mm diameter pipe, it's plastic pipe, and it's as dug backfill. If I jump onto this one, you will see this pipe starts an internal gully, 100mm pipe again. Now I'm assuming that our gully is going to be in an external area, so the pipe backfill is type 2. When I get to my markup list, I can change that if I want to. Talking of the markup list, if I show you that now. So there are several thousand markups on this drawing, but if I just select this first one, you'll see it obviously brings forward the subject. It's also, I'm using a label for sorting later on in Excel. I've allocated it to the plots that I'm looking at. I mean, you can see I've gone through and allocated all of the markups to plots. I've got it on a layer, so I can turn it on and off as I need to. And over here is where all the details are. So I said that's the saw vent pipe bit was filled out automatically. I have to fill out my end detail, so I know that's an inspection chamber 1 meter deep. I see 1,000. If it was in a driveway, the inspection chamber, then that would be an HIC, hard inspection chamber. You'll see why I've done that in a minute. If I jump across to my adoptable storm, all that pre-populates with is, here's the tool. All that pre-populates with is the material type and the type of backfill, not the pipe diameter, not the pipe start or the pipe end. And then what I do on this is I enter in, so it starts at manhole SMH 19.1, it finishes at SMH 19.2. I've put in here at the moment it's a 1050 diameter concrete pipe. I know it's 375, but I've just been playing about with this to show the differences, which we'll come back to later on. So what we've also got here is we've got some row gullies joining onto that. Row gully will be pre-populated with RG. It will be a 150 pipe and it be clay material, type 2 backfill. The detail I've entered here is SMH 19.1 to SMH 19.2, which is the run it's joined onto. For the next one, I don't have to enter these details because when I get into Excel, it will fill this information down for me. So this just makes the processing and the amount of data that you have to enter into Revu, it just speeds up the whole process. So, as I say, you can see on here, I've got an awful lot of detail. There are thousands of lines marked up on here, runs of drainage. So, what we've got with this is all of the details that we need from here. And what we would do is we would export that to a CSV file. And what we do with that is we then join this up with the Excel spreadsheet. And here we've got the details of where it's connecting to. We've got a tables page which has got some standard details in it. Here is where we've got like the things like the inspection chambers, IC 500, IC 750, which are the details that we were entering into review. And you can see an IC 500 is an inspection chamber, depth not so 0.5 meters, as dug's around. The H1, so if I say HIC 750, that's actually inspection chamber 750 deep, and it's got a concrete surround because it's in a hard standing. So there's several other details on here. SVP, saw vent pipe. From this it will say that we need to allow an average of 1.5 bends per saw vent pipe. I've got rockers on there at the moment. I shouldn't have that on there. I'll take that off in a minute. And we only count them at the start of a run. Yard gullies we've got more details for. So that's our standard tables. We've then got a manhole schedule. Hopefully the engineers provided us with a manhole schedule. We can put our locations in here. We can put road numbers in just to break this down further, but I haven't done that yet. Cover level, invert level, manhole type, what the backfill is, and whether we've got any backdrops, what the levels are for those. Over on the storm, we've even got catch pit details, depth of the catch pit. Down here, we've got all our head walls, head wall types. I've got a warning here, colours up automatically if anything's less than ½ metre deep. And as does backfill there. And I've got some details for my plot storm. These weren't actually on a schedule. I've had to go through and pick all these off of the drawings, which is a bit of a pain, but we've got them all now. What we do to make this all work is we've got a couple of buttons here. Once we've exported the CSV file from Revu, we don't need to open it. It just goes to the same folder. We use these details in here to pick up where that folder is and the name of the file. And Excel using Power Query. We'll pull all that information forward. These over here will be all the tables we're using in to make everything work. So down the bottom I've got the CSV file from Bluebeam that's been pulled in. We've then got things like the adoptable foul manholes, which will refer to our manhole schedule. And basically it will, if we're looking at a run from this here, from the CSV, what it will do is it will look at that run, it will pick up the details from the manhole details from the start and the end of that run. It will pull all the details through from these tables here, which come from the manhole schedules, and it will work out the start depth, the end depth, etc. of our pipe runs, so we get an average level. Where we are weighing onto a run with a road gully or something like that, it will work out the start depth of your road gully, but for the end depth it will take the average level of the run between the two manholes that the road gully is joining onto. It's taken quite a bit of working out to get this all into a setup that works, but now it's working, it's fantastic. So here we've got our run checks. Basically what this will do is, if you've forgotten to fill out a detail like a backfill type or a pipe material, or you've forgotten to put a pipe end in, or it doesn't match up to one of the runs we've already got, if you've got some mistake, it will come over here and it will highlight it as a possible error or an error. And what you can do is filter on this table to, as you can see, it's over 3,000 lines long, but you can filter and just pick out those details and go and correct anything in Revu if you need to. Here we've got a couple of possible errors, just purely because the start depth is deeper than the end depth, so it looks like the pipe's running uphill. But I know on this site it's due to the ground levels, and there are no issues here. So if I jump over to the full build, this is what is created by just taking the markups from Revu and combining it with these details in the tables page and the manhole schedule. There's nothing else that we're using. So we get a schedule of all our manholes, we get a schedule of all the types of trenches, as does backfill, shingle backfill for where we've got land drains, type 2 backfill where it's under hard standings. We've got all our concrete bed and surrounds, shingle bed and surrounds, types of pipe work, rocker pipes, bends that are needed, wide junctions where we're joining onto runs, all our sundry fittings, and cleaning pipe work, testing pipe work. In backdrops to the manholes, we've got all the details created automatically. Not only that, if we jump over to this filter bill, it's all the same details again, but because we've allocated each of our measures to a plot, we can also see all of our measures per plot. So when this workflow is finished and we've got a rates page set up as well, not only will we have measures per plot, but we will have values per plot, which is extremely useful information when it comes to when you're doing valuations, progress on site, etc. You will be able to see exactly what you should have allowed or completed in each plot. If we jump to private storm, you get all the details for that. It's different. You can combine two tables together, so you'll get private foul first, then you'll get private storm below that. Adoptable storm, I haven't allocated a lot of the measures here or the markups to plots, so that's not that useful at the moment. But what we can also do, just to show you how easy this is to use, you'll see here that we've only, I said about the 1050 pipe earlier. Oh no, it's not in here at the moment. So I've marked that drawing but not brought forward the measures for that 1050 pipe. So if I jump back over to here, when I last updated, this was a where's it gone? This pipe over here was a 750 pipe before, but I've got it down as a 1050 pipe. So what I can do to get this to work is I want to export to a CSV. This is quite a slow process because there's going through a lot of information, but when you're actually recording the screen as well, it slows up everything up even further. You can see by the flashing pointer that it's trying to do something. It just takes a little bit of time, but it's far quicker than trying to go into a spreadsheet and manually enter any changes that you might have made. Okay, hopefully this will be done in a minute. Going very slowly today. Hopefully it's going to stop thinking about it in a moment. Right, so this is our export to CSV. I don't need it to open the file after creation, so I'll just press OK. That's processed all the information. I can then jump back into my spreadsheet, and all I need to do here is, if I hit update bill, you'll see over here it starts working, it starts loading some data. Now this process once again isn't that quick, but it's automated, so you can jump away and do something else. Once again, it's going to be even slower today because we're recording the screen, But what I can do is jump back into review while that's working, and I can jump back into here and just show you the level of information. So when we're doing these markups, you'll see here I've got ASDUG UPVC. So this comes from this this markup here. Now you could create endless amounts of markups with pipe sizes in, etc., but that would, to me, make this not very user friendly. So my tool over here, on this one I have put in it's going to be a pipe size of 100 mil because the foul plot drainage is normally 100 mil. But if I wanted to change that, I can do that in my markups list, so I get it to pre-populate with this. When it comes to my storm, plot storm, I've got the same markup in a different colour, but I don't put the pipe size in here because very often this can be 100 mil pipe, 150 mil pipe, 225 pipe, so it's pointless me pre-populating because I would be changing probably 70 or 80% of the markups, whereas if on my foul I'll only be changing probably 5 or 10% of them to 150 mil. So as I say, these details are all pre-populated from our actual markups. So I normally have these all pre-allocated to a layer, but unfortunately the latest version of Revu has got a glitch in it, so once you start reusing the markups again and again, it loses that layer. You can see this markup here has got a layer allocated to it, but that's because I haven't been using it on the drawing. Once the glitch is fixed, I will come back through and allocate these all to a layer. So let's jump back to our marker. It's still working, but it's almost complete. We can see this by the numbers here. So if we keep an eye on the screen over here, you can see that our 750 pipe has disappeared. I've now got a 1050 pipe in there. It's a bit funny because of it's not gone put at the end because of the way that Excel's formatting numbers. I'm going to have a look at a way if we can sort that out so it does it properly each time. So concrete bed and surround. So this is previously it was a shingle bed and surround, but because the crown has got nearer to the surface, there's not enough cover on it, so it's worked out instead of being a shingle bed and surround, it's now a concrete bed and surround. I've got my concrete pipe work here, 1050 deep. There's no 750. And I've got my concrete rockers, and if I come down here, Y junctions, because we had 3 road gullies joining onto it, I've got a 1050 by 150 Y junctions. So that's all created automatically in our bill, and if I jump back to the full bill here, you'll see here this is also updated as well. So yeah, everything. I've obviously got a connection in my drainage as well here for another connection into a 1050 pipe, but I've got everything here, and that's everything created from a few sets of markups on Revu and a few standard tables and settings on Excel. So I hope you like that one, and yeah, if anyone's got any questions, please let me know.
Wow, thanks, Vince. That's some really cool stuff you're doing there. That's what we have for you today. I wanted to thank Vince for taking the time to help present this month and showcase the brilliant work he's doing in the Bluebeam community. If you have any questions regarding training or customization services for your company or yourself, don't hesitate to reach out to the team at Brighter Graphics. Thanks for hanging out this afternoon. I'll turn things back over to Darren and Sean to wrap things up.
Wow. Okay. That's some amazing work there by Vince and Troy. I'm not sure about everybody else, but I've not seen Review and Excel used in that particular combination. We just running up to the end of the session now. We don't have any specific questions about the webinar. However, if you do like to revisit this webinar, all of our previous recordings are on our website. So if you go to brightergraphics.com, go on to previous webinars, all the previous sessions are recorded. We crammed in a hell of a lot of detail, and there's some heavy stuff there, especially linking Review into Excel. If you do like to revisit some of that, either reach out to us and we can put you in touch with Vince for a one-to-one demonstration. Alternatively, you can go and view the webinar at your own pace on the website. As I mentioned in the question tab, we do also have our YouTube channel. YouTube channel comes along with lots of tips and tricks, a lot of short videos. It's getting a lot of traffic and attention now. So if you ever want to go back and look at some of the tips and tricks that we're posting, or look at previous sessions, they're also on our YouTube channel. At this point, as there's no more questions, I will highlight to you that our next session is again pushing Review to its utmost. I'm looking at the P&IDs section of it. Most people at that point, especially in the oil and gas industry, are using Review as a deliverable for P&IDs. That session is just before Christmas. It's on the 20th of December, again at 2 o'clock. Love to see you guys on there at this moment. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care.